Hello, sweet friends. It's Chrissy. Welcome to or back to my channel. And today I'm going to walk you through one of the ways that I bond with a new deck. So you will catch me probably watching watching the time as we go, because I am at the end of a little break from work. So I do have to be back at work in 30 minutes or so. So let me show you the Playful Heart Tarot. This is by Chicken Cops, Kitten Chops. Ooh, this is the most recent deck in my collection. I bought the pre-edged version because it was all that was available at the time. So it came with the cards all mixed together, which was beautiful. And I love this edging. And I love that the majors are yellow, the cups are blue, the pentacles are green, the swords are purple, and the wands are pink. So it's very similar to how I conceptualize the colors of the suits and the majors as well. And part of my bonding process is to go through the deck with a Rider-Waite-Smith so that I can start to visualize some of the similarities in symbolism in the cards, some of the things they have in common, some of the things that are different, just so, you know, I can get a nice overall conceptualization of the deck. I didn't think I'd say that right the first time. Go me. So I haven't done this yet. I received the deck. I used it in my Perfect Pairs video, I think. I've read with it a time or two. I've shuffled it a lot so that my hands know how it feels. But this is my first real bonding experience with the deck. So we'll go through as much as we can before I have to go to work. So starting with the Fool, this is really interesting because the creatures have already jumped. And we really can't tell who is the figure that we are to associate with. My gut kind of says this one, and then we have somebody saying, oh wait, don't forget the rose. We have our friends cheering us on. But I love how this has a perspective of being able to figure out what energy of these four we identify with at the time when we draw this card. So for the Magician, here we have the above and below. Here we just have above, right? And I think the above and below here comes in the flowers growing down and the flowers growing up. But otherwise, this really seems to be much more of an up gesture. We see the energy moving up in both directions. The flowers are growing up. Her hands are growing up. So I'm really curious about how to find grounding in this card. This doesn't feel like a particularly grounded magician. Not that that is a problem. It isn't at all. It's just an interesting take on the card. So just something to be aware of, that that and I also see a difference in the faces, where this is much more playful face. Playful Heart Tarot. So this Magician doesn't feel like it holds as much responsibility as the Rider-Waite-Smith Magician. And by the way, this is the Centennial Borderless. I love this diving energy of the High Priestess. There's something about this that feels very moon to me. So this feels like the scroll that she's holding here is accessible to everyone, where this feels like it's deep and something for her to go access. The way that I understand the High Priestess, I really, really like this one. But we don't have the imagery of, imagery of the columns, but we do have fish on both sides. So there is that sense of balance there. And the heart here in this High Priestess, can kind of be seen as the equal cross here. It's very moon to me. I like it. The Empress is beautiful. I love how we see her here tending. She's loving this could be a rattle, but for me, this was very much a, oh, it is a spoon and a whisk. You can see in here. So I think this speaks very much to creation, other than just the creation energy of pregnancy. This is very much a, I'm nurturing cats and I can also really cook. And she's sitting here by the water, which we have in the Empress in the Rider-Waite-Smith as well, showing comfort with emotions. I love how chill this Emperor is. So he's got a cup, he's got a mug and a remote. What else does he need? I think about this really pointy mountain, though, to me speaks of the triangle representing change. And it's interesting that we have the very square here above this Emperor, where this Emperor seems a little more open, still in full mastery of their domain, but feels more pleasant and more flexible. The Hierophant. I love here this connection with between the ears, which I see like as like our heads being fully plugged in, and how the connection with the hands come up off the card, which is involvement with source to me. The red is very grounded. Then the purple is very much crown chakra. So to me, this speaks of the connection between the physical world and the spiritual world more than the Magician does. I feel like it's really present here in this card, and that the Hierophant has put the book down, but it's still present. And there's this experience of our little bunnies here learning not just from the figure, but also from like the source material itself. With the Lovers, we have the grooming. It's just really warm and cuddly. We have the Sun up top. We don't have the Angel, but that's completely fine. They're up in a tree. They're up in something which to me shows a little bit of risk, of ungroundedness, of unrootedness. And I like that energy in the Lovers. Like, sometimes we have to risk our security, risk the ground underneath our feet to be able to feel and experience, and the risk that it takes to fully understand, to be fully understood, another or ourselves. So with the Chariot, we have the figure holding the two animals here. So this is one, sincerely, that I will need to check the guidebook for. I'm pretty sure there was a... Yeah, there is a booklet on the website that I'm going to have to check out, because I enjoy this card, and I can understand it as the Chariot. I just wonder if I'm missing something here. Strength is beautiful. As here our figure is completely opening up to the risk of the lion. That's a beautiful card. For the Hermit, I love the skeleton as the light, and carrying the pet along with shows that there's not this requirement for aloneness. The figure here is still traveling, which we see here. So stillness is also not a requirement for this type of self-reflection. I like this Hermit a lot. From the Wheel of Fortune, this is beautiful. We have the chakras represented. We have the seasons represented. So there are still, distinct four corners. The process of the movement of color and hue speaks to the movement of the wheel. I get it. Justice. We've got the blindfold here, which we see in some justices, but not the Rider-Waite-Smith. We have the scales, The feet here seem much more planted than here in Justice, but there's also a sense of calm that we see here as opposed to the Rider-Waite-Smith. We have the curtains and the appearance of like being on a stage. I like this card. The Hanged Man is right side up. It's not my favorite. I think there's a curiosity and a discomfort. Even if it's not uncomfortable, we have to be uncomfortable to get there, that I see in Rider-Waite-Smith that I don't necessarily see here. I don't mind it. It's not a deal breaker. I just really want to take the card and put the name down here. I just want to turn it over. That's my own thing with the Hangman. For Death, we can see the falling of this flower and the sadness from this petal reaching down to comfort, but knowing that it can't follow completely. And the sun is setting, or is the sun rising? So we see the transitional aspect of death here in the sunset or the sunrise, which we see here as well. For Temperance, we have the figure here is creating something. That we have the spoon and the whisk again that we saw in the Empress. And we have this creation of something that didn't exist before. And then again, we have, as in the Rider-Waite-Smith, we have 1 foot on something solid and 1 foot dipped in to the water. For the Devil, we have the 2 figures. We have the scary figure here. I like the doorway that we have here, but there's this concoction here, right? There's this, and we have skulls, and it looks like a plague mask and a spinning wheel, maybe the Wheel of Fortune. There's things in this cup. And the scary figure here almost appears to be like a stirrer in the drink. This feels, oh, and we have the snakes coming out of the cup. This feels almost like, is it Lock, Stock, and Barrel, like Oogie Boogie's minions in Nightmare Before Christmas? That's kind of what this feels like to me. It feels very Temptation, right? It's like when they're creating the trick for Sandy Claus. I know this is not Nightmare Before Christmas, but that's how this feels to me. With this energy of like they're trying to trick, trying to make it look like something that's actually good for us, but we know better. And an invitation to step away from that into the sun, even though this very closely mirrors the sun here. I feel like this devil is a real invitation into just vigilance and paying attention to details. With the Tower, we don't see the tower itself, we see the figures. And I like that because this brings it to what to consider being our reaction, not necessarily what it is that's falling. I like that tower a lot. Oh, what a beautiful star. We have the moving water here at the bottom, which we have here. Of course, we have the stars, the one that's most prominent. I like here that we have the figure looking toward the stars and there's a sense of movement. This really carries, although for me, I think there's a part of the star that is like patience and clearing and not having hope, but not moving too soon in that direction, taking the time to process, where this is like, it's okay to move straight through. And we have the bird here with the tiny little bird in the tree, which I don't know that I've ever noticed before. This is why studying other decks also helps with the OG, as they say. Do they say that? Oh, I'm old. So moving towards the moon. This is interesting to me. So we have the moon coming down and forming a heart around this character that seems kind of scared. There are wings protecting her, but they're not attached. This feels very Little Red Riding Hood to me. She's got a little bag. She's wearing a hood of some sort, and there's all of these scary things on the outside. I've never particularly thought of the dog and the wolf and the towers and the mountain and the path and the crawfish slash lobster as particularly scary, where this card feels scary to me. I don't mind it. I think it helps to have, I think it gives a really nice, what's the word? Not similarity, but the opposite, right? It's a good challenge, a good differentiation. That's still not the word. I know you're yelling it at me, and for that I say thank you. Between the star and the moon, where here they feel very similar. I think this gives indication that the star is hope, but the moon is still something for us to dig through and experience, and there's not a lot of clarity there yet. I like having two figures in the sun. This reminder that we don't have to go through this process alone. Oh my gosh, Judgment has very quickly become my favorite card in the deck. And I love the face here of the angel reaching down and the figures in their little lotus petals, which is a very nice reference to the coffins here. But then there's a sense of enlightenment coming up out of the lotuses and attracting up. It's like she's ringing bluebell flowers. I love it. And then finally with the world, we have, there's again this community aspect to it that I don't think we get often. And we get to decide which one of these figures we identify the most with. At the end of the cycle, do we feel more like dancing? Do we feel more grounded? Do we feel more shy and unsure? Do we feel like we're ready to move on to the next thing? Do we feel like we're up in the clouds? I think there's a lot of opportunity for which figure in this world do we identify with. So because I'm now like halfway or so through my chatter, I'm probably not going to comment on every card. We have the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups. We obviously here have a pink and a blue dolphin. And then it's like almost like they're being served this commonality. I really like in the Pentapath Tarot, anyone who's had it or seen it, that how the Two of Cups is depicted as like two men sharing. I don't remember if it's some sort of beverage, and I think there's a teamwork and a camaraderie that I like the way the Pentapath points out that it is not necessarily a romantic partnership. The Three of Cups here is interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about two prominent characters and then a smaller one. To me, this feels like, and especially with the sprout here, this feels very much like becoming parents, which is not the way I read the Three of Cups at all. The Four of Cups, we have the fourth figure on the outside. No one looks bothered by this, and I like that. I like that. It's like, I'm still out here fishing. You all can have your fun. I'm going to finish my fishing. There's no FOMO in that experience. The Five of Cups. There's a lot of sadness here, and this reminder at the top that there's more. Whenever you're ready, the world is ready for you. I like the nostalgia here with the picture frames. This is very, very clear, like which choice are you making? I like how it looks like those, like the lottery machines. There's a lot of luck in this card that I don't know that the typical Seven of Cups portrays. The Eight of Cups, choosing to leave fully lit. The Nine of Cups. So something that I find really interesting about the Nine, a big part of how I read the Nine is a sense of isolation, and that comes off the Hermit. But so many of the nines, there's one figure in the nine, and then there's at least in Cups and Pentacles, multiple figures in the 10. So I see this, I see the nines as having a piece of solitude in that, and we don't see that in this Nine of Cups. I'm curious already how the 9 and the 10 are different. To me, the 9 and the 10 have very similar energy, except this is more peer related and this is more multi-generational. The Page, we have the cat looking into the fish tank here. The Knight, this may be the most similar layout of a card we've seen so far. The Queen of Cups, beautiful with the water, the cup she's holding, and then what's being held around her. It's beautiful. And the King of Cups, very friendly King of Cups. The Ace of Pentacles, which is weird because there are lots of them. It's interesting to see multiple pentacles on the Ace. I don't mind it. He's catching them here. So there is this indication of like, you do have to collect them somehow. If you don't pay attention to it, if you don't reach out for it, it can just slip through your fingers. You have to accept it. The Two of Pentacles. I'm missing the figure here. That's holding the lemniscate. The Three, they're holding hands. Their roots are connected. They're working together. The Four of Pentacles sitting on top of the suitcase in protection. I love this because what we have in our suitcase is typically to go on an adventure, to move, but while we're waiting for the right time to move, we're protecting what we want to make sure we take with us. I like that Four of Pentacles a lot. The Five, the energy here is one figure pulling another along. And like this figure would be in the church, like, oh, what's going on out here, right? This is interesting, like how where being toddlerish, for lack of a better word, is preventing us from moving on. What are we throwing a fit about? And how are we being pulled forward? I like that Five of Pentacles a lot. The Six, we see the giving and the giving here in the birds as well. I like how the cat is like, I shouldn't be spying on this. There's a sadness here in the Seven of Pentacles that I don't typically feel. The Eight, doing the work. I love the Eight of Pentacles. And there's a teamwork here that we don't see in the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is fine. But just moving along, just doing the work. For the Nine of Pentacles, I love her. I love her. And here we have, again, a solitary figure in the Nine, which I like. And then the 10 is the celebration of all things, all physical things, all earth-related things. I like it. Again, we have a page that is very similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith. We have a Knight, even though he's on an ox, it's a very similar, the direction they're looking is the same. I like that the ox is looking back here at the Knight, almost like asking permission, like getting clarity. I like it. The Queen of Pentacles, again, beautiful. Also has the two little animals of support, which the Queen of Cups had as well. And the King of Pentacles. All right, moving along. I got to get this puppy done. Ace of Swords, we have one sword that's looking up. I like how the sun is shining light down on the ace. Two of Swords. This is interesting. So it's almost like we have a bird face and then two other faces up top. And the feet are very pointed and unstable. I'm going to have to dig through the guidebook for this one. I like it, but I don't know what it means. The Three of Swords, we have one sword. A sword And then the roses are arrows. Not my favorite, but not a deal breaker. The Four of Swords looks like he's just taking a nap. His plane is just waiting for him. He's got the drink to show that he's resting. I love it. I dig it. The Five of Swords. The sky is like an angry bull. We're looking at what we've gotten rid of, what we have left. Is it worth it? Six of Swords, my favorite card. I like to imagine here, is she going toward the boat? There's not a super long passage here, and we have the face of hope here in this figure. I don't like how it looks like she's being spurred along, though. That makes me a little uncomfortable. The Seven of Swords. Where are we going? What are we leaving behind? How do we feel about that? The Eight of Swords. This feels more externally torturous than the Rider-Waite-Smith does. This feels like a torture of our own, torment of our own making. This feels more external, which I guess could help to think about separating our thoughts being something outside that we can break off at this point. I don't know. This one's going to take me a bit. The Nine of Swords feels that pretty well. The 10. This is the only card so far that hasn't had like an actual figure. This is like a deflated balloon. And I feel like that's protective of the figures, of the personalities in the deck. Page of Swords. The Knight of Swords. Wow, that's a dragon. The Queen of Swords, who I love. This appears to be a much more modern take on the card with the cityscapes and diplomas and some sort of like a trophy maybe. And then the King of Swords here also feels very, very modern with the helicopter and the deck of cards and a martini. There are some cards in the swords I'm going to have to work my way through. All right, friends, we can do this. The Ace of Wands. I love this. We have the figure, the wand being part of our figure. I like that. And we have his little friends cheering him on. The Two of Wands. The tail here being the wands. I think about the wands here a lot as like a stability, like tent poles. It doesn't hear that can be inside of us. The Three of Wands being the fire underneath what is cooking. I like that. So being stoking the inner fire as we're waiting to take motion. The Four of Wands, we have the celebration, we have the 4 candles, and then the 2 couples, and then these little chicken legs, which make me laugh. The Five of Wands, they're not fighting, but they're also not real happy with each other. They're waiting. Oh, they're racing. I see that here with the little gnome up here holding the checkered flag. Again, has that sense of play with, they're not taken all that seriously as a 5. The Six of Wands, the celebration with the first place. The Seven of Wands with the energy coming toward and threatening our figure here, who's holding something here in their hand. So like the energy is coming from the heart and something external to protect. I love just a linear 8 of Wands. No complaints. The 9 of Wands. What is he protecting? What is it costing? Does it need to be protected? Is he protecting in the right place? I see that in here. I'm not sure about the metal. That's interesting to me. The 10 of Wands as like not a tug of war, but like a push of war. I see that energy. The Page. The Knights. I like how the pages and or the knights are very familiar. The Queen of Wands, we have getting all the sun, and the King of Wands is making plans. We'll go ahead and look at the bonus cards. Things are easier than you think. Embrace your inner child. Take the first step today. Yes, you are free and you are not alone. I would love to do a 3-card reading for a deck interview, but that's going to have to wait for a different time because your girl's got to go to work. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.